All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Everything College World podcast. Today I'll be doing a Week 14 preview and prediction for a major game in the Mountain West going down on Friday afternoon, 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time. From Albuquerque between New Mexico and San Diego State, Aztecs 2.5 point road favorites, and then 43.5 is that total. They started with the Aztecs offense on the New Mexico defense for San Diego State. Now, this is a team that has not scored 30 points in 5 straight games heading into this one. But this is a respectable offense that allows them to play complementary football and to win a lot of games. It starts with the backfield. Lucky Sutton, 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns this year. Christian Washington right behind him with 400 yards on the season. They put up about 187 per contest. This is a very consistent rushing attack. It's been very good in the Mountain West, especially during the last 2 months for this team. They only have one loss since the start of October, and the run game's been a big reason for that success. And this is a group that I think really struggles to throw the football. Jaden Denningle is a respectable passer, but he's not great. I mean, he has 4 rushing touchdowns. When it comes to throwing the football, only 150 yards per game, 7 interceptions, 59% completion rating. It's just not a team that operates a whole lot when it comes to throwing the football. Now, it makes it hard for them to establish any type of consistency for this offense, so it's not going to be a high-volume passing attack. And if they're forced to play from behind or play in close contests where they need the pass game to step up, especially in long downs and distances, it's going to be hard for them. So Deningle, he's nice with his size, 6'5", 230, a respectable transfer from Michigan. So he knows how to play football, but this is not an offense built to do a whole lot through the air. When they do, though, Jordan Napier is a hell of a receiver, 48 grabs, 629 yards. Donovan Brown's right behind him at 384. And then after that, it's a big drop-off in production. So it's really just going to be those two guys getting the touches and then the aforementioned guys in the backfield. This is a team that's going to want to run the football and stay in short down in distances. They're only 31% on the year on third down, so this is not that great of a group. Going up against New Mexico defense, it's a respectable group in their own right. 23 points per game allowed. They're very good against the run, on the other hand. Only giving up about 106 yards per contest. It's one of the top marks in the country. They've held teams to under 100 yards often this year. They blitzed New Mexico State for 15 yards. Nevada only had 55, and then 2 out of the last 3 have been held to under 90. So that includes UNLV, who's got a great rushing attack. So this is a legit run defense. They even gave up only 201 yards to Michigan back in week 1. That's obviously a phenomenal rushing attack. It's a Big Ten opponent that they held to a respectable number, right? Keyshawn James Newby at defensive end leads the way, 11 tackles for loss for him. Brett Carhu right behind him with 9.5. I mean, it's a very good defensive line. James Newby also has 7 sacks, so they get great production out of him when it comes to some of the other guys on this defensive front. You're looking at Brian Booker, Darian Agu, Xavier Slayton. It's a nice rotation that they have. It's not going to be an abundance of size by any means, but I think their edge rushers do so much damage for this team that allows them to really be significant in all phases. They have a phenomenal linebacker in the middle, and Jackson Eck. This guy leads the team in tackles. He's phenomenal. He's really great against the run. He's also another big reason why they're so successful in that department. 100-plus tackles on the season. 6 tackles for loss. Got a couple pass breakups and a forced fumble. So he's a bit of a do-it-all playmaker for this team. I love what he can bring to the table. I think their secondary is going to be their biggest weakness, though. The team that gives up 243 yards per game, about 70% comp rate from opponents. So, that's not great from them. And they've had some issues against the tougher passing attacks. They're still able to win all those games, though. San Jose State and Boise State, though, gave them issues earlier on in the season. But now they're on a 5-game win streak. So they've really been able to shore up that weakness for this defense, and it's not going to be a problem here. I know Napier is a heck of a player at receiver, but this, again, is not a passing attack. It's really going to stress you too much. Frankie Edwards, John Johnson, 2 really respectable corners that are going to do well, I think, in this matchup. Caleb Coleman in the slot. He's not very good against the run, but he is pretty good in coverage. And then at safety, C.J. McBean, Tavian Combs. These guys aren't all that great in coverage themselves, but against the run, they do respectable effort. So good defense here. I love what the front 7 brings to the table. They're good against the run, so that gives them a pretty respectable matchup in this game going against the Aztecs, who have an abundance of size on their interior offensive line. All those guys are about in the 330 to 350 range. Ross Masui, Kalen Ellis at left guard, who's really not that great, but he does, again, have that size. Then Bayou Kaniki, who's been great in pass protection. I love the interior offensive line from San Diego State. Moving to the other side of things, you have a Lobos offense going up against a great San Diego State defense for New Mexico. Quarterback Jack Lane's having a heck of a season. It has been a struggle for him in terms of turning over the football as well. The back half of this season, though, during this win streak, only has 1 interception. He had 3 week 1 against Michigan. He had 3 against San Jose State as well. So Even though he had some struggles in those games, for the most part, he's been really respectable in that area. So the 9 interceptions doesn't tell the full story on him. A guy that has 206 pass yards per game, completes about 67%. He can do damage as a runner. He's got 4 touchdowns. He's pretty good when it comes to picking up, some short yardage situations and whatnot. So he is a live runner at all times. This rushing attack puts up about 152 yards per game. Damon Bankston is a great running back. He's a nice versatile player for them. DJ McKinney as well. He's not as efficient, but he does have 400 plus yards and 6 scores. Scott Trey Humphrey, I love watching him play. This is a nice player. Gives him a great number 3 option, but he's just not played much over the last couple of weeks. Has really fallen out of favor in the rotation. But they have a nice backfield nonetheless. Going up against the run defense in San Diego State themselves, it is pretty darn solid in their own right, giving up 103 yards per game, 3 yards per carry. And this has just been a rock solid unit. Teams as of late been getting a little bit more breathing room, but really not a whole lot. 164 yards against Boise State. That's the highest they've allowed all year, and that was just a couple weeks ago. They're not giving up much breathing room against anybody. I think the matchup they have against New Mexico is going to be a tougher one, but it's not one that's really going to put them on ice too much. They also have a great group of edge rushers, Trey White, Ryan Henderson. These guys have been tremendous this year. Combined 16.5 tackles for loss. Niles King also does damage coming off the edge. You have a great linebacker in Owen Chambliss who has 4 sacks. He also leads the team with 99 tackles. I mean, this is a playmaking group across the board. He also has 5 pass breakups, that being the aforementioned Chambliss. So this is a really impressive defense. They played in some wacky games this year. They beat NIU earlier in the season 6-0. They shut out Cal 34-0. 17-7 against Boise, 23-0 against Fresno. So they've played some really top-tier offenses in this conference, and they've done very well. So I think San Diego State, their defense is really going to be the catalyst for them to be able to go on the road and win this game. When it comes to what they do in the secondary, it's also a strong group. I mean, they're elite. 53% comp rate allowed, 160 yards per contest, 13 interceptions. They've only allowed 10 touchdowns. So it's been a very good defense collectively for San Diego State, and the secondary does a lot of damage. The pass rush alongside them is just very good for them. Chris Johnson at corner is having a elite season, one of the top players in the conference at corner. Bryce Phillips, also very good. Love what he can do in terms of a run defense standpoint. A little bit more inconsistent in coverage than Johnson, but really not been bad at all. And he even has more plays on the ball in a sense of his 6 pass breakups, even though Johnson has 4 interceptions. So, I mean, this is a lockdown cornerback group. Eric Butler, I think, is going to be your most vulnerable guy in the slot. He's going to be a guy they're going to look to attack. Dwayne McDougal at safety, very good run defender. Him and DeLe'Shawn Staley, I think, form a nice duo as well. I mean, it's just a well-coached defense that they have, and this is going to be a tough group for New Mexico to crack. I think they do have 2 pass catchers that could potentially, win some of those matchups. Keegan Johnson, he's the only pure wide receiver that has more than 200 yards. You have Sean Miller down the line who has 12 grabs for 180. Everything else is the tight ends and then the running backs. Dorian Thomas at tight ends, a very good player, especially down the seams, of 48 grabs for 514. He's one of the better players in the country at his position. And then the aforementioned Bankston, he's a really good running back because of his dual threat abilities. He's got 25 grabs for 366 yards, so it's not that bad of a running back room. Again, it's a very good group, and they're going to get a lot of utilization. But in terms of receivers that can look to throttle the secondary, they're just not going to be evident one bit. I think Johnson's a good player, but he's 200 pounds. He's more of a physical pass catcher, not a burner that's really going to give them too much in terms of downfield playmaking. Moving to the final thoughts on the prediction, I think this will be a tough game because the San Diego State offense is just not that great. Neither is New Mexico's, though, and I think this defense going on the road is going to have a giant advantage. I really like what they can do on that side of the ball. They've been rock solid, and that group's going to travel here in this one. As long as San Diego State protects the football and they can control the field position, they should be in pretty good shape. I think that running back room can be an issue potentially for New Mexico for them to defend, but I just don't think they have enough in the pass game to really take advantage of what's been a very good, rock-solid secondary. And I think they're going to create more negative plays than the Lobos will be able to. This will be a tight-knit defensive affair, 43.5 the total, so the under is always going to be in play. Best bet for me is going to be San Diego State money line, about minus 130, going on the road here to lock up their ticket for the Mountain West title game. If New Mexico wins this game, though, it's going to be kind of a sit-and-wait approach because they lost to Boise State, so they would lose that tiebreaker. So there's a scenario where they make the conference title game, but if San Diego State wins, they're going to punch their ticket while the Lobos would have to sit and wait around to see what happens. So I think that's going to be the case here. The Aztecs are going to win, and they're going to be in that conference title game where I think they'll end up hosting that as well next weekend. So I'm going to take the Aztecs here to get the job done. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.